Hello, people of the internet. NinjaNick333 back yet again. We have round 2 of the European International Championship for the Pokemon trading card game. We have Nicholas Moffat on the left, Isaiah Bradner here on the right. Nick Moffat, former local to me before he went off to college. Played against him quite a lot while he was in the senior, when he first aged up from seniors to masters is when I started playing against him a lot. He is a very strong player. The last couple regionals, he didn't end up actually doing too hot, which was a little surprising to me because he's been on a crazy win streak recently. He's been getting a lot of top 8s, and he just put his prizes out to the side the same way that I do. However, he didn't put them for the camera yet. Maybe he's just waiting for them to tell him it's okay to put them there. And Isaiah looks already stressed out. He hasn't even irritated for 2 item cards yet, so I'm not sure why he's stressed out. But let's see here. Looks like Isaiah is taking some notes. I see water energy from Moffat. If he's playing Palkia, I'm gonna smack him the next time I see him. And I'm saying that in the nicest way possible. Because why anybody would play Palkia? Okay, no, thank God. Okay, he's playing Lost Box. That makes so much more sense. Moffat has been on Lost Box since Lost Box was a deck. He has not played anything else. He's only played Lost Zone variants, so not too surprising to see him play that here. Oh my God, the water energy did scare me for a second because I'm like, is that like 2 water energy? Like, looks like he is playing the Kyogre version. Kyogre is still very strong. That did not rotate because that is a card from Celebrations. It has the E regulation mark, so it will be here for a little bit longer. We also see the Hawlucha start from Isaiah. So this will be a Lost Box mirror. Very unfortunate to start that Hawlucha. Hawlucha is very much like the Galarian Zigzagoon that just rotated. Galarian Zigzagoon would say if you bench it, put 1 damage counter on one of your opponent's Pokemon. Hawlucha says the same thing, except it allows you to do it to 2 different Pokemon. So 1 damage counter to 2 different Pokemon of your opponents. The Kyogre start for Moffat is not ideal because it does have a 3 retreat cost. You're going to need a switch cart or an escape rope in order to move that out of the way. And also, usually you want to pull the Kyogre out on the last turn of the game and take 2 prize cards with it, knocking out 2 Pokemon at the same time. So by having it here for the start, not only tells your opponent that you are playing the Kyogre version, but now it's a little bit more of a liability. You can always shuffle it back into the deck or pick it back up from your discard with Clara. I think these decks might play Miriam. I don't think that they do. Ordinary Rod has rotated, so your only means to get the energies back in your deck is Energy Recycler, and you don't have any real good ways to put the Pokemon back in your deck besides just picking them back up with Clara. So we are going to go for the Nest Ball. We see that Sun and Moon art Nest Ball. Because as we know, this is a reprint. For those who don't know what Nest Ball does, it allows you to search your deck for a basic Pokemon and put it directly onto your bench. So if there is an on-play ability like that Hawlucha, it does not work. You have to put that Pokemon from your hand onto the bench in order to use that ability. It looks like Moffat even draws one with that concealed cards. Is just going to attach a water energy and pass. Looks like there are no Comfey here from Moffat. It is a little bit less consistent of a deck now that you do not have scoop up nets. But the deck is still very strong. You just play more switching cards. You just play usually a full 4 escape rope, a full 4 switch cart. And you still do quite a lot. Before you could get by with 2 Comfeys for the entire game, just continuously recycling them with scoop up net. But now, sometimes you really want to get a 3rd one down so that you can use 3 of them in the same turn. We do see multiple switching options from Isaiah's hand here. So we're going to have to see what he's getting off of this Colress's experiment. Again, Colress's experiment does allow you to Look at the top 5 cards of your deck, put 3 of them in your hand and 2 of them into your Lost Zone. That is exactly how Lost Box works. It operates based off of the amount of cards in your Lost Zone, and we are seeing 2 suboptimal starts here. Isaiah is just going to bench the Sableye and pass with a giggle. The 2 of them are like, man, aren't we bricking? But Moffat is doing quite a lot better because he does have the Radiant Greninja. He was able to get that into play, so he's been able to draw an additional 4 cards, even though he has not had access to a Colress's Experiment yet. He can play one this turn if he does draw one. Also, like the pink shirt choice, Moffat. Pink is a man's color. Just ask the home ec teacher in Scarlet and Violet. So what else is Moffat going to do? He does play the Colress's Experiment, so he is going to be able to put 2 in the Lost Zone. Is able to switch into Comfey. He does have a Comfey now. Looks like a second one is in hand now as well, so he will be able to flower selecting a couple of times. Looks like, ooh, he has the Moltres that allows you to attach 2 Dark Energy when you bench it. I wonder why there's Dark Energy in this deck. Is it just like a Mew counter, maybe? Is he expecting a lot of Mew? I guess Gardevoir is Dark weak as well. So that would be a counter for Gardevoir, a counter for the Mewtwo V Union as well. This deck does struggle against the Mewtwo V Union when Gardevoir puts that out. Usually I try to wait until the last turn and knock out 2 Comfeys at the same time with the, what's it called? Psysplosion or something? The one that does 16 damage counters. That's usually my way to beat Lost Box. Unfortunately, that does not always work because Lost Box just has a inherently better matchup against Gardevoir than Gardevoir has with it. But of course, Moffat, with his big Moffat brain, is going to be playing that Galarian Moltres to give himself even better odds there. That is a pretty easy decision. If he's got 2 Sableye off of a flower selecting, one of them's going away. We are going to bench another Comfey. I do believe he has energies to retreat at least. I think there's a switch card in his hand as well if he wants to go that route. I think what he's really looking for here is a Cramorant. He would be able to take a knockout here. Get rid of this Sableye. That would be the perfect thing. We are going to likely... Let's see. Has he used the other Comfey that's on his bench is the real question here. Looks like he is going to attach for turn to the Radiant Greninja and just pass. A slow start from Moffat, but it is working out for him because Isaiah does not really have anything going on. Moffat is 1 more energy away from just being able to attack with the Radiant Greninja using its Moonlight Shuriken attack to do 90 to 2 of your opponent's Pokemon. Isaiah is really hurting for a Manaphy right now, but he's also hurting for quite a lot more. He needs some Comfeys in play. Looks like he may have drawn one for turn. He does have one in hand. Unless he just had it last turn and didn't want to risk putting it into play. You don't want that being knocked out by a Cramorant if you can avoid it. So we are going to bench the Comfey now. We are going to be using flower selecting this turn, Isaiah is saying. So it's a question of whether or not we want to see the retreat on the Sableye or if we want to use a switching card here. But we do need to dig for Manaphy. If we do not see Manaphy on this next turn, Moffat is going to be taking a 2-prize knockout before he even potentially gets to 7 cards in the Lost Zone to be able to use the Mirage Gates to load up one of those Greninjas very swiftly. Mirage Gate says when you have 7 cards in the Lost Zone, you can put 2 different colors of basic energy on to your Pokemon in play. You can select 2 different Pokemon, but the energies that you select from deck do have to be 2 different colors. So if you only have, say, 5 water energies in deck and no other colors of energy in your deck, you can only select 1 energy. But we've seen Moffat is playing at least 3 colors of energy because we do see Psychic, Water, and Darkness. I wonder if he also has Fighting and the Galarian Zapdos. I would like to see that in the deck as well. Because that is a good out to Miraidon. Miraidon has a really good matchup against Lost Box if you do not have the Galarian Zapdos. If you guys have seen my TikTok, you will know why. Isaiah is furiously taking notes here on his beat up memo book. We are using the Hisuian Heavy Ball. That makes sense. He knows what all his prize cards are now. Might as well write those prize cards down so he has all of that knowledge for the rest of the game. He has got a Nest Ball here as well. This would be really great to get out the Manaphy, which we do see him pull to the front of the deck. We need that to make sure Moffat has a 1 prize turn instead of a 2 prize turn. De-incentivize Moffat from going for the Moonlight Shuriken. And maybe try to dig for a Cramorant instead, if he's even playing that. I would assume he is. And then just a pass for turn here from Isaiah. He has 6 in the Lost Zone. Moffat has 4. And it is Moffat's turn. We also see there is a Mirage Gate in hand. So we are going to get card number 5 in the Lost Zone. If we have another Colress's Experiment, we will go to 7. That Manaphy also stops Kyogre from being able to use its attack onto more than one Pokemon as well. So we're going to have to see if Moffat will have an out to this Manaphy here. It will be really important to maybe Sableye. Use the attack with the Sableye to knock out the Manaphy before you are able to do anything else. There are a lot less options for Isaiah to be able to shuffle that Manaphy in. As I've already said, he will have to Clara the Manaphy back, so we'll have to have that on the exact turn it does get knocked out. Looks like we are going to see a Pokegear here from Moffat is going to get the Clara into the hand. That is the card that allows you to take 2 Pokemon and 2 energy from your discard pile, put them back into your hand. It does have to be basic energy, but that is also a good way to easily get that Galarian Moltres going. Actually, now that I think about it, where are my Galarian Moltres? Because I own them. I don't think that they're in my box of playable stuff, are they? They better be. I'm going to have to look after this. I definitely played that card before, so I better... I looked through all my bulk today, so it better be in with my playable stuff. I have a big box with just all my playable stuff to build decks with. We are going to see the escape rope here, so that's going to force Bradner to switch out his Pokemon first, and then allows Moffat to switch as well. So it looks like Bradner is thinking about switching into the Hawlucha. Would make sense because that is the next most dead Pokemon on his board. Actually, probably the only Pokemon Isaiah would want to be knocked out this turn if he had a choice on which Pokemon is getting knocked out. So might as well move that up there. Hopefully get the Cramorant to knock that out instead of something more useful like the Manaphy or either of the Comphase or even the Sableye, which could potentially be used next turn if he has enough switching ways and another Colress. So we're going to see Nest Ball here from Moffat is going to search his deck for another basic Pokemon or just fail it. Looks like maybe he's going to go for a Manaphy of his own. Yes, he is. Just trying to get around Bradner using any way to hit his bench. If Bradner goes for pull Radiant Greninja out of nowhere and then Mirage Gate to it, attach for turn, that would be able to take 2 prize cards. So Moffat is aware that he needs this Manaphy this turn if he wants to prevent a play like that. Bradner's a good enough player that he would potentially hold that Radiant Greninja in hand to try to make his opponent not think that he has that. We are going to see an attach of the Psychic Energy to the Radiant Greninja and just a pass. We would have likely seen the Moonlight Shuriken here, but because of the Manaphy, Moffat's like, yeah, it's better to just pass and leave my Comfey active. Force my opponent to do something. Looks like the judge is keeping track of the Lost Zone counts for both players with the dice that are on the board there, but the stream is also keeping track, so we have 2 different counters for both players, which is a little funny. Yeah, Bradner and Moffat both do this thing where they're just like, they just go, ugh, like they're thinking really hard, like they're super stressed out, and then they just like do the best play ever and then win the game anyway. Like the two of them do it all the time. I don't understand it. I mean, I'm sure these two players have played against each other enough to know that they're not going to phase each other out with that kind of play. If they're like trying to do a mind game or something like that. We do see the escape rope, so both players are going to have to switch. Moffat first, because he is the opponent. Looks like he is going to take a quick look of the discard pile here for Bradner. Nothing super important in there. Moffat is just going to switch Comphase. He doesn't want to put up the Kyogre, because that's a good attacker. He doesn't want to put up that Manaphy, because he doesn't want to be put in a position where that Manaphy gets knocked out. Looks like Bradner does have Clara in hand, and both of these decks should not be playing anything along the lines of Judge. They usually just like to stack up a whole bunch of cards in their hand, so if Moffat ever goes for a turn where he knocks out Manaphy, Bradner will just respond with a Clara and be able to pull it right back. So it looks like that Moonlight Shuriken isn't really going to get Moffat anywhere. Even though it looked like he was going to get it, that Nest Ball came in super clutch from Isaiah on that previous turn. So we are going to keep using more flower selectings. We're going to get rid of a Roxanne at this point. Probably fine since both players still have not taken a single prize. They both have still not done a single knockout. They have not attacked once for either player. Looks like Bradner is going to get to 10 cards in the Lost Zone, puts a Psychic Energy onto his Sableye, and his first attack of the game will be with the Sableye. We are going to see the Beach Court come down, giving all basic Pokemon one less retreat cost, very much like the Sky Arrow Bridge of the olden days. And we are going to have free retreat going into the Sableye, and we are going to use Lost Mine. Looks like Double Clara is in hand even for Isaiah. He's going to knock out the Manaphy, which is the play that I wanted to see from Moffat before, but he did not get to 10 as fast as Isaiah did. Knocks out the Manaphy, puts 5 onto the Comfey, because that's all that was left over. And, very important to note, that no Scoop Up Net is in format anymore, so all of the damage that goes into play in the mirror match now sticks. So it's really great if your opponent has 2 Comfey in play. You could do a Lost Mine to put 6 damage counters on both of the Comfey, and then on the next turn bench Hawlucha and take 2 prize cards while also taking doing an attack. You could put 6 damage counters on a Manaphy, as well as 6 damage counters on a Comfey. Then on the next turn, you could bench Hawlucha, take the knockout on both of those, and then go for the Moonlight Shuriken, which would be amazing. That's probably what Moffat is going to plan on doing here. He needs to get to 10 cards in the Lost Zone this turn to still have a chance, I believe, because Bradner has taken a prize card now. He is, again, in the driver's seat. We do see the concealed cards drawing 2 more cards, discarding that Darkness Energy. We've got 8 in the Lost Zone now. We do see a Switch Cart. That is a way to remove damage counters from these Pokemon now. So you do have to, try to play around that. That is still a way to, avoid that that play that I said with the Hawlucha. But of course, anyway, as Isaiah already has the Hawlucha in play. He did start it. So Moffat is forced to go with the Moonlight Shuriken, take a 1 prize knockout with it. Very unfortunate. He does hit the bench, but it just does nothing because that Manaphy says no. It says, I am the barrier of the bench. So you can see this is a very, very even match. Both players know in and out how to play this matchup, what they are doing. Even with rotation, it does change quite a lot about how this deck functions, but they both know what they're doing, even though these builds are sort of completely different. So we're going to use Flower Selecting. We've already used Colress's Experiment. We've got, I think, 13 cards in the Lost Zone now. The count is completely irrelevant once you get past 10. All of the Lost Zone effects that go by how many cards are in the Lost Zone all go up to 10 at most. There are 4 for Cramorant, 7 for Mirage Gate. And is Fantina 7? I want to say Fantina's 7. I could be wrong. And then Giratina and Sableye are both 10. And if I was wrong about Fantina, then Fantina was 10. It's either 7 or 10. We see yet another Sableye coming out, being able to use his attack yet again. Now, I think that you ignore the Greninja and you just start stacking damage counters. So you can knock out double Comfey. And it looks like, yeah, it looks like he was setting up a play to where multiple Pokemon could all get knocked out at the same time for Moffat. Moffat says, you know what? I'm just going to scoop up, save time. It's very odd that Moffat was... He started off a lot hotter. I mean, both of them kind of bricked in the beginning. Moffat did have the Radiant Greninja to just draw more cards, but it didn't end up mattering because Bradner did get the Manaphy the exact turn he needed, and Moffat was all in on that Greninja. But that was the only way that he could have played that game anyway. So really unfortunate for him that he was able to lose that game, but there is still plenty of time for 2 more games. Both of these players are fast players. They both really know how to play the game. So we will have to see. I like how they just have the same deck right up in the background. Both players know that they are playing a Lost Box Mirror. At least they didn't show Kyogre on Moffat's side and Raikou V on Bradner's side, because I did see the Raikou V when he was looking through his deck earlier in Game 1. So that would have given each other extra information if they did not already know what each other's decks are. Looks like there is a mulligan from Isaiah here, so that's going to improve Moffat's odds to get what he needs. He will be able to draw an additional card off of a mulligan. So for those who do not know how mulligans work in Pokemon, if you do not have a basic Pokemon, one that is just able to be put directly into play, you do have to show your opponent your hand to prove that you do not have a basic Pokemon. Shuffle your hand in, draw a new fresh hand of 7. Just like your starting hand, but your opponent gets to draw an extra card if they choose to. He does get a basic Pokemon this time, so we are going to see those prize cards come out. Looks like 1 Colress from Moffat. I don't think anything too important from Isaiah's side here. Now we do see the Hisuian Heavy Ball off the start, right ripping that straight out. Isaiah, or Moffat, did decide to go second. Even though he lost Game 1, he chose to go second, which is a really interesting decision. I think going second in the Lost Box Mirror can be correct, because that gives you the first use of Colress's Experiment, and it also gives you the option of the first knockout if you are able to get the Cramorant. Although I think going first gives you an additional turn. So if your opponent does whiff the Cramorant attack, and both players did whiff that Game 1, so you know it's possible. Then you could, then you just get off to the races a little bit faster. Although if you are the first one to play Colress's Experiment, it's more likely that you get your Battle VIP passes off. So I think in the mirror, going second can be as equally correct as going first. It's really just like a... You're trying to maximize your odds of being able to win that prize race. We do see the Comfey does use 1 Flower Selecting and then just retreat into the Sableye because you do not mind that getting knocked out. You don't need that until later in the game. You could always Clara it back. It looks like a bunch of Pokemon here off this Colress for Moffat. He is thinking about Lost Zoning the Galarian Moltres and the Snorlax. I'm not sure how I feel about Lost Zoning the Snorlax, but if you gotta do it, you gotta do it. The Moltres is a very safe Lost Zone because I don't think you want to be using that in this matchup. I mean, you always can, but I think it has 120, so it would live a Cramorant, but it would not live a Sableye. And it's only really better in the late game because its damage is based off of how many prize cards your opponent has taken already. So if you go trying to load it up early in the game, it's just going to be doing like 20 damage or something. I think it's 20 plus 50 for each prize card your opponent has taken in the game. Imagine if it counted for previous games as well. If your opponent like 6-0'd you game 1 and then has taken like 5 prize cards and you just do like 50 times 11, that'd be pretty sweet. Oh, 20 plus 50 times 11. That would be great. That's not how that works. That's never how that should work. But that would be hilarious. So we are seeing the Nest Ball from Moffat here. Maybe getting another Comfey, I would like to see. Depends on how many switching options there are in hand. He is going through and he is identifying what his 6 prize cards are if he can. Again, Bradner looking super stressed. Moffat actually not looking stressed in this matchup for some reason. The two of them, again, that's what they always do, is they look stressed. Oh, I think he got that Comfey that's on the bench with the Nest Ball. But I think Bradner knew that Moffat was trying to identify all his prize cards, so I think that wave of the hand that he did, I think he's just like, I think that was just like action. Like, hurry up. You do have to, you know, do your actions quickly, so even if you are identifying prize cards, you can't just spend like 2 minutes identifying your prize cards. You have to do like, you know, a 15 to 20 second search or something. Usually, judges will allow your first deck search to be a little bit longer than your other ones, but they still really, there is no rule for that. So they really should all just be as quick as possible. We are seeing the flower selecting. Looks like we also have the Pokestop here in this list. Pokestop is a card that, you know, I have a love-hate relationship with. It's really strong, but I always mill the wrong stuff with it. I would only ever actually use Pokestop if I absolutely had to. I did play against my friend Chris at a Winnabox recently, and it was still previous format, but it was a Winnabox for Scarlet and Violet. It was weird. It was a Wednesday night. But he put Pokestop into play, and then I think I researched and I whiffed the V-Star, the Lugia V-Star. And then I used his Pokestop, and the first card off of the Pokestop was an Ultra Ball. And I milled 2 energies, and I'm like, you know what? It was worth it for the Ultra Ball. And then I ended up winning the game, because he also started Drapion. Because he was playing that Turbo Reggie list. And Reggie generally has a bad matchup against Mew because of all the lost cities. So we do see Colress's experiment here from Bradner. We were able to take that Cramorant knockout here. We were able to spit not so innocently with this Cramorant. I don't agree with the attack name. If you're going to spit on somebody, it's not innocently. It's just rudely. Spit rudely should be the attack name. So we just see a Sableye and a Manaphy, and it looks like Bradner's just gonna pass. But yeah, that is not a good start for him. They still have 22 minutes left. I think this could be enough time to complete Game 3 even. They are in Game 2. They're early in it. Moffat is going to be able to just spit innocently. He doesn't even have to move his active. He could if he wants to. But yeah, he almost lost zoned Energy Recycler. Oh, he does. I can't imagine that that's playing any more than 2 Energy Recycler, plus the 2 Clara. So that's going to be a lot harder to get Mirage Gates off later in the game. Especially after you're always discarding so many energies with the Radiant Greninja. Looks like we are going to go for the Escape Rope. I would like to see just a hard retreat into the Cramorant and then knocking out the Manaphy. Because then if Isaiah just benches more Pokemon, without playing Clara to bring the Manaphy back, you could potentially just win off of a Mirage Gate to a Greninja. As long as you have the water energy in hand. But if you have double Mirage Gate, that works too. There are quite a lot of cards in Moffat's hand. I do see double Mirage Gate. So we could actually see that. We're also going to see a Pokestop. Ooh, going to get 2 items, discarding a Psychic Energy. That's a really good Pokestop, actually. Yeah, this Lost Box deck does play a lot of item cards. So it is not a bad decision to be playing Pokestop in this deck. It also helps you set up. It lets you get those Battle VIP passes turn 1. We are going to see 7 cards off the Pokegear off the top of the deck, and we get the Courses Experiment off the last card. Very lucky for Isaiah here. So we are going to be able to use that Courses Experiment to look at the top 5, choose 3 Lost Zone 2. That'll put his Lost Zone at 5. He will be able to potentially respond with his own Cramorant now that he'll be at 4 in the Lost Zone. He's also going to use his opponent's Pokestop. Ooh, and that's a really bad one. He discards the Cramorant he could have used to attack and another Courses Experiment. And then I think Isaiah, off of this Courses Experiment, goes, yep, I'm not drawing anything, so I might as well just scoop and go to the next game. So I do believe that that one was won by Moffat, and they are going into a Game 3 immediately. So as you can see, when you have a couple of good players that have heads on their shoulders, they know how to scoop early, they know how to play fast, they know exactly when they're like, okay, I'm too far behind to be able to win. They know the matchup inside and out, they know their deck inside and out. Like when I played against Reagan Retzloff in round 1 of Charlotte Regionals, it was, we finished our best of 3 in like 20 minutes. It was like utterly disgusting. I had taken 5 prize cards in like 5 minutes. Then we played game 2, and I scooped pretty early because I was about to win, but I prized double Aurora, so I couldn't knock out his... I had no out to his Duraludon. And then game 3 was the longest run game, and I barely lost. I lost because I prized Vacuum. It was my last 2 prize cards, but we still played it. I played the Marnie because he had game in hand. I still played the Marnie to just play it out because we had plenty of time to see if he had the out, and he still got the boss for game. So, or maybe was it Pokemon Catcher for game? Yeah, he played Pokemon Catcher and flipped heads. That's what it was. Style points. We're going to see Pokegear here is going to grab the Courses Experiment from Moffat after using a concealed cards. Just starting the Radiant Greninja immediately. Looks like it's a Radiant Greninja start from both players. We are also going to be using the Pokestop. Discards the Manaphy. That's not what you want to see here from Moffat. That's not actually that good. You can Fog Crystal to get a Comfey of your own here if you want. Looks like he is sorting his energy to the back. He wants to make sure he knows exactly which energies are prized so that he doesn't Lost Zone too many of one color. Looks like there is double Sableye in the prize cards. They are pulling that up here. So that is going to be important for Moffat to know. He will most likely be playing Heavy Ball, so it's not the biggest deal that double Sableye is prized, but it could come up. So it looks like we do get the Comfey. He is identifying his prize cards. He's probably going to realize most of these decks only really play to Sableye, so he's probably going to know immediately that he doesn't have any in deck. Unless he decided to up it to 3, but I don't think that that's likely. I don't think rotation hurts the deck enough to where you need 3 Sableye. Especially when you still have access to such a powerful card like Clara. Clara just lets you use the same Sableye multiple turns over. So we're going to see the Comfey comes down. We might see the retreat into the Comfey to use Flower Selecting. I do like that. Interesting decision here. I think you can safely Lost Zone the Dark Energy. I don't think you really need Dark Energy necessarily in this matchup. You have the Waters and the Psychics. That's enough to power up both Greninja and Sableye. Looks like he is thinking about getting rid of the Escape Rope. You see, I don't know if I get rid of the escape rope there, because if Isaiah benches another Pokemon and you have Cramorant next turn, you could force the other Pokemon up and take the knockout, whereas Cramorant does not knock out the Radiant Greninja. It's 20 off. So we do see the concealed cards from Isaiah. He's going to discard an energy and draw 2, and we get the Battle VIP pass. So Isaiah is off to the races already. Getting a pretty good start here. He can always hard attach to retreat. He probably has switching options as well. We're going to have to see exactly what is in his hand. It is a little bit bigger than normal because he was able to use that concealed cards there. So using Pokestop is going to discard the Raikou V that you don't want to use in a Lost Box Mirror because it is a 2-prize Pokemon. Not unless it's your last prize for the game. Then you can use it. Then it's fine. But we do get a second Battle VIP pass. We're going to get that Manaphy down immediately. And probably just another Comfey? And just probably another Comfey seems fine. Just get 3 Comfey out. No, I think he just went for Manaphy and that was it. Or Cramorant. Cramorant would have been fine. You could have retreated into that, taken a knockout if you get enough in the Lost Zone. What is that? Is that his own Kyogre? I can't tell what that Pokemon is. Is he also playing Kyogre? Is that what that is? It looks like it has 2 attacks. That's why I ask. And then he also Lost Zones a Chorus's Experiment, plays his own. So he's down 2 Choruses now. Usually when I take notes against the Lost Box deck, I keep track of all of their counts and things, because it's so important to know exactly how many of each card that they've used. To know exactly when to Roxanne them, when to judge them, etc. Because sometimes you want to hold it off an extra turn, if you can. Because they always want to hold their cards until the most optimal time. And we do see the Escape Rope, and the Spit Innocently is just going to do 110 to the Radiant Greninja. And honestly, that's fine. If you could somehow manage to attack with Sableye in the next turn, you could actually take a double knockout. So I guess attacking into the Radiant Greninja is not as bad as it was in the last format with Scoop Up Net. But you're still not taking an immediate KO. And they still have 13.5 minutes. That should be plenty of time for both of these players. So we got 3 in the Lost Zone now for Moffat. We're going to switch cart, heal 30 off of our Radiant Greninja. That is going to push it a little bit further out of range of being able to take a double knockout with Sableye here. It is actually still exact knockout on both a Comfey and the Radiant Greninja, so the switch card did not do quite enough. It's fun how that math works out, actually. We're going to bench another Comfey. I'm starting to lose my voice slightly. I think I need some water. We are going to Escape Rope, go into another Comfey, Flower Selecting. We're going to get rid of the Stadium because we already have one in play. Did Moffat use his Stadium for this turn already? He's thinking about another Escape Rope. He might want to rope again, which would put up a Pokemon that he will be able to knock out with the Cramorant. He is at 5, so that's 1 more than enough to knock out with the Cramorant, or to even attack with the Cramorant, rather. Puts down the Manaphy just in case Isaiah can get to 10 cards in the, or can get to 7 cards in the Lost Zone and power up the Radiant Greninja. Attaches to the Comfey just to have a retreat pivot for next turn. And takes the Spit Innocently knockout. So Moffat does take the first prize card. He does the second attack, but takes the first prize. We do see a Mirage Gate here off of this flower selecting. Do we keep that or the energy? Looks like we're going to loss on the energy, keep the Mirage Gate. I think there is one more Mirage Gate in hand. So if we see a Chorus's Experiment, which is in hand, we will be able to play the Mirage Gate this turn. So again, that Manaphy coming down from Moffat there was perfect. That's the exact turn you needed to do that. Gonna loss on the Dragonite. You don't want to put a 2-prizer down in this matchup, especially when you're already down a prize. And what is his other card he wants to loss zone? Has to take another look at his hand just to make sure. Takes yet another look at his hand just to make sure. You know, it looks like maybe a little bit of a difficult choice. He's eyeing up the escape rope. It looks like he does do the escape rope. We're going to Echoing Horn back the Manaphy, so now Moffat has double Manaphy in play. Very odd decision from Isaiah here. He might try to do that turn, like I said before, where he goes 6 to 2 Pokemon with the Sableye and then bench the Hawlucha and knock both the Manaphy's out at the same time, forcing Moffat to have Clara at that exact turn. So the Echoing Horn was actually really skillfully used there. But of course, Moffat's going to have such a massive hand. You're going to think that by the time he needs to Clara the Manaphy back, he'll have it. He didn't prize any, so there should be double Clara in deck, I would think. Now, it looks like we are... Ooh, interesting. So we are going to go for the Mirage Gate onto the Greninja and just hit the active for 90, and that's it. Very interesting choice. So I guess you could always go for a... Yeah, I guess what he might want to do is on the next turn, get to 10 cards in the Lost Zone, Sableye, put 6 damage counters on 2 Manaphy, and then on the next turn after that, go Sableye again and take a 4-prize turn. That might be something you want to do. Or you could just go for a 6-prize turn at some point and just loop Sableye 3 turns in a row going forward. That could be what he's doing as well. Yeah, I think on the next turn you could go 60 to 2 Manaphy, then on the next turn 60 to 2 Comfey, and then on the next turn knock everything out with Sableye. Now, whether or not you can do that will come down to exactly how many switch cards Moffat is able to play to get those out. I think that you would want to go for the Manaphy's first, the 60 on the 2 Manaphy's first, because you're more than likely going to be using the switch cards on the Comfeys. So leave those Comfeys to be the last. Leave those Comfeys to be the last ones that you damage before you go for the 6-prize turn. There is the Clara. So yeah, again, Isaiah does kind of play around that. Yeah, but Isaiah he's setting up that 6-prize turn. I'm calling it now. It's always fun when you can knock out all of your opponent's Pokemon all at the same time. We see double switch cart in hand now. So that is gonna make it a lot harder for Isaiah to go for that, but he is trying to go for the 6-prize turn over the course of 3 turns. He's gonna be setting that up. So even if Moffat does go double switch cart, Isaiah might be able to do it on the 4th turn, or at least maybe he might. It's going to depend on if Moffat has access to a Roxanne. Because if Moffat is able to use those switch carts effectively and get around Isaiah's spread damage, then he'll force Bradner to take prizes in that way. And then it would open up Moffat to be able to play Roxanne. Yeah, so we'll have to see. We'll have to see exactly how this match plays out. I'm actually really excited. This is a good game. We do see the Nest Ball gets another Comfey. We are going to switch cart into another Comfey. Use Nest Ball yet again, get Sableye. which was funnily enough on the bottom of the deck. Gonna keep Lost Zoning more cards with Comfey and with Colress's Experiment. We are up to, I believe, 11 cards in the Lost Zone now. We're gonna get... Is that triple Mirage Gate off of that Colress? No, that can't be. He had one in hand already. That couldn't have been triple. That was probably double. He might have 3 in hand now. He is going to use Switch Card again, and he is going to put 60 damage on 2 different Manaphy's, and you can see the play is lining up. So now Moffat will have to switch cart to heal 30 off the Cramorant, to go into the Manaphy to switch cart to heal 30 off of that. Or he could switch cart it off of the Greninja, potentially. But yeah, Isaiah is playing it in such a way that he wants to make sure all of Moffat's Pokemon stay in play so he can knock them all out at once. Yeah, so those switch carts can heal 60. So Moffat has to make sure he plays those switch carts at the exact right moment. We are going to see a Clara here is just going to get back 2 energies only. Because Moffat knows these are the only Pokemon I'm going to have in play for the rest of the game. So I'm going to have to make them work for me. I don't think his list is playing boss's orders, or at least it doesn't seem like it at this point. So I don't know if he'll be able to like boss Manaphy and take a knockout, because that could disrupt Isaiah's plans by having maybe Greninja be a threat on the next turn. We are going to switch cart, heal 30 off of that Manaphy. I'm trying to think of the way that Bradner would stack up damage on the next turn. So I guess 60 to 2 different Comfey. And then you have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, so then Bradner, the way it's set up now is if he does 60 to 2 Comfey on this turn, then on the next turn, Bradner uses Sableye and knocks out all but one of Moffat's Pokemon. The math does matter from the second switch card. Because there's 80 on the Greninja left, so he has to do 50 to that. Yeah, so he'll Lost Mine 60 to 2 Comfey. And then on the next turn, he has to put 4 to Manaphy, 5 to Greninja, 2 to Cramorant, and then 1 to the other 3 Pokemon. And that's more than 12. Math. Counting. And Moffat still has double Sableye prized. Not that it matters, he has no room for Pokemon. We're seeing Energy Recycler come out, shuffling some energy back into his deck. Yeah, Bradner seems really comfortable here. He does have 3 minutes left on the clock. So he is going to go 60. Okay. Yeah, so he puts 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, so he's still slightly off, but actually, I think the way he has it set up... 5... The way he has it set up, actually, I think he can Hawlucha and Lost Mine in the same turn to take the knockout on everything. Let me just double check. So 2, 2. That would be knockouts. Then we have 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, on the next turn, if he goes Hawlucha, Lost Mine, he wins. Looks like Moffat Echoing Horns back the Raikou V. A little unfortunate for Isaiah here. So see, if Moffat actually declines to take a knockout... Well, no. I mean, he can try to hit the Raikou. Yeah, see, that's the thing. By using the Echoing Horn there, he knows exactly what Bradner was going for. And if we see a switch cart here, that would be great, too. Yeah, he knows exactly the play Bradner was going for, so he Echoing Horns the Raikou V back out just to make it so there's not enough room to bench Hawlucha. Yeah, absolutely astounding play there. I think the Hawlucha is in hand from Bradner as well. It almost would have been better to use the Hawlucha on this previous turn. Ooh, we do see 2 item cards come up from that Pokestop. One of them being a Mirage Gate. Yeah, because if he used it on the last turn, as long as Moffat doesn't have any more switch carts, he would have been able to go exactly for the play he needed. So we are going to see Clara to get back the Sableye. We are going to retreat, and we're just going to go for the Sableye turn. Looks like we are likely going to forego 7, 8, 9, the 6 prize turn, and we're going to take 1 prize here and then try to spread the rest of the damage, I would think. Yeah. Oh no, he was able to not take a knockout? He was able to put 12 damage counters down and not take a knockout? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, he still did it. He still managed to do it. Isaiah managed to take the 6 prize turn. Yeah, and Moffat and him are just talking about exactly how the game went. And Moffat's like, oh, you know, because I couldn't bench things, I couldn't put my own Hawlucha into play. And, oh, man. Yeah, that was beautifully played by both players. Moffat's, Moffat's play to make it so the Hawlucha doesn't come into play made it so he did last one more turn. But unfortunately, Isaiah was still able to stack 12 damage counters in such a way that he still didn't take any knockouts and then managed to take 6 prize cards, knocking out all 6 of Moffat's Pokemon at once on the next turn. Very, very clean game from Isaiah. That was amazing. As always, I hope you guys enjoyed. Do not forget to comment, like, and subscribe. That helps the YouTube algorithm show these videos to more people so that the channel can keep growing and so that I can keep making great videos like this. We will see you guys next time. So I want to just make a quick addendum to the end of this video. If you look at Moffat's board here, he just played double switch cart so that he was able to heal 30 damage off of Manaphy and just 30 damage off the Manaphy. So if you look at this, he puts Isaiah Bradner on this next turn, puts 6 damage counters to this Comfey, 3 damage counters here, that's 9, 1 here, 10, 1 here, 11. He has to put a 12th damage counter down. It will knock out one of Moffat's Pokemon. He only puts 11 damage counters down with the Sableye on this next coming turn. Settings. We're going to go 0.25 speed. If that even goes at all. So, he goes Clara. He's going to go double Sableye, double energy, right? He's going to bench and attach to the Sableye. And again, just to be clear, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And then everything is left with 10 HP remaining. And I'm not saying this just because I used to be buddy with Nick Moffat. Like, this is very clear. Look, Bradner's gonna go. He's gonna say, lost mine, right? He's gonna do it. He's gonna do 1, 6, 3, 1. That's 11. So here Moffat puts down the damage counters, so he goes 1, 6, and Moffat's taking the knockout and like knocking it out, and he's saying no, just 6 here. He's gonna go 3, 1. So Moffat's going, okay, I'm gonna put the damage around. Now, Bradner moves the dice from 3 to 6. He moves the dice from 5 to 6. And he moves that dice to 4. So again, that's 11 damage counters. So this damage counter and this damage counter both went to the Cramorant. This damage counter should be on the Cramorant. This is knocked out. But he specifically did it in this way to make sure that he does not knock out one of these Pokemon so that he can go for the 6th prize turn. So that's what it's like in Pokemon, people. You gotta make sure that your opponents don't cheat you. And that's exactly why I was saying, I'm like, that math didn't seem to add up. But I texted one of my friends and he's like, no, he legit put out 11 damage counters. So there you go. There's knockout on Cram right here, because this damage counter that Moffat put down, and then this one that Bradner put, but it's not all on the Cramorant, so it looks like it didn't get knocked out even though it did. So all right, that's it. That's my addendum to the video. Now I have to edit these together. Ah, crap, it's more work for me.